Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to take you on a trip down memory lane. How many of you growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s sat there with your dad watching the History Channel, especially the show Top 10 Combat Rifles? If you do, you should remember this.
At number 4, it's an American legend.
M1 Garand. Type: semi-automatic rifle. Country of origin: United States. Caliber: .30-06.
Top 10 Combat Rifles started my lust for military surplus firearms, for history in general. It started my entire firearms fanaticism. When we watched that episode, this rifle was the first rifle I fell in love with watching it. For those of you that don't know, this is the M1 Garand, the main infantry rifle we had from World War II all the way up until the early parts of Vietnam, even though it was officially replaced at that capacity. We all know how goofy that series was on TV, and a lot of it was just FUD lore, but man, it was fun FUD lore. None of us could really get mad at it because it was so much fun to watch. Today, I'm not going to go through a complete history of the rifle because if you found this small little channel, you probably already know enough about this to get a good grasp on the history of it. But talk about a little bit of my history with this rifle. I bought this rifle straight out of high school when I was 18 years old. As soon as that magic 18 hit, I knew this was going to be the rifle I bought. I saved up the entire summer before to buy it. And in the last 10 years that I've owned this rifle has taught me a lot about the firearms industry in general and firearms technology in general. So this is the particular rifle that got me into hand loading. This is one of my pet hand loads, a 165 grain SST. I believe this load is using Varget. I have a Hodgdon Varget and IMR 4064. They work very, very interchangeably. Obviously, the same weights of powder don't translate across to each other, but the burn rates are fairly similar. And when I turned 18, being in JROTC and involved in a lot of outdoors activities, one of the rifle competitions I've always wanted to shoot was the 500-yard KD range, and this got me started. I got hooked up with the CMP. This particular rifle I bought from a private gun shop, but I got my CMP competitor number and shot my first competition right out of high school, and it was one of the best times I've ever had. When I turned 18, M2 ball was starting to really dry up. I'm sure you could have gotten it at the time from the CMP, but it was really hard to get. So I knew that I was going to end up either buying a huge stockpile of it and just very slowly shooting it over the years, or I would learn to reload. And like I said, with this pet hand load, I learned about it. The 168 grain Butzel hollow point load for match shooting. This 165 grain load for general hunting purposes, and then I obviously have a couple 150 loads just for plinking or shooting matches that I don't feel like going through the extra trouble of trying to make an ultra precise hand load. Not that you would really get that with this rifle, but you know what I mean. The point in the journey along these 10 years is joining the Marine Corps, and when you join the Marine Corps and you go out to different ranges, you get to see, experience, and maybe even take back some history with you. In Camp Pendleton and other range-based bases like that, where you could literally find casings, ammunition, all sorts of stuff on the ranges from the people that have been there the hundreds of years before you. That's where that's where a buddy of mine found two of these clips. Both of these clips, I would believe they're probably from the 50s, maybe the early 40s, or maybe the 40s, when the GIs were training out there getting ready to ship off to the Pacific. So he picked these up. He knew I had an M1 and said, "Hey, here's a couple of cool mementos of us not only being here, but a little taste of our history." I'm sure, I'm sure the Marines that headed off to the Pacific that were in our unit, in our particular unit, went through there at some point in time. The other part of this journey was, along with hand loading, learning gunsmithing and learning firearm customization. I couldn't afford a real bayonet at the time, so I ended up picking up this real cheap Amazon special bayonet. I'm sure if you're a real collector out there, you're just losing your lunch looking at this, how ugly it is. It started off all black, and when Duracoating was a big craze in the industry, I bought up Duracoat and a couple spray guns and started learning how to do it. And I Duracoated this gunmetal gray, and I tried to get a sort of leather finish for the actual handles and whatnot. I'm sure this is not period correct. I'm sure I butchered it. Oh my gosh, I ruined a $40 piece of Amazon piece of junk. While I'm not going to go into a complete history lesson, one of the things that I learned as I got into gunsmithing and firearms design is learning how this action has influenced rifles and whatnot around the world. Obviously, this influenced the M14. The M14 was the intended upgrade to this rifle. Whether they succeeded at that or not, you can go fight other people on the internet for that. I really don't care. The M14 and the M1 Garand, they're great rifles. The other thing that you may notice if you've been around a lot of forums and whatnot and paid attention to the design, this is basically an upside down AK, or an AK is an upside down M1. The bolt pattern, the way that it locks, and even the little groove that's cut on the inside of the operating rod is very, very similar to that of an AK in thought. Obviously, it's not a one-to-one conversion. He had a lot of help and a lot of tweaking and peaking that he did to make it great, and to improve the design. To go without saying, this rifle is basically shaped the 20th and the 21st century for the most part. A lot of weapons still use the similar design. If they don't use a similar design, the lessons learned with this rifle have been carried on into other rifles. The absolutely fantastic sighting system, the click adjustable, thumb adjustable sighting system that went into the M16A2, which is an absolute improvement over the A1. I don't care what anyone says about that. Unless you're just a hardcore what would Stoner do fanboy, really these sights influencing the M16A2 sights, that's the best improvement they could have done to that rifle. Another thing this rifle gave us, this is kind of a lesson learned. It's not the stupid ping that everyone claims is, got GIs killed. But what probably did get a lot of GIs killed is how freaking loud that safety is. I can't tell you how many times I've been waiting on a group of pigs or seen a deer that I wanted to take with this rifle, and me being the super safety conscious person, left it on safety, flicked it off without really thinking, and I'd scare everything away within a quarter mile of my stand. I'm sure many of you who have hunted with these rifles know that and can attest to that. To the point where most of us probably, once you get to the stand, you get to a safe position, you have the rifle pointed in a safe direction. You go ahead and take the safety off and keep your fingers straight off the trigger and call it good. Cannot recommend that, but that's what most of us do when we hunt with these rifles due to how loud that sound is. I'm pretty sure through going through what little reference material that I have, that this particular number is very this particular number is what a lot of the Greeks would put on their stocks to know what rifle they're yanking out of the rack and whatnot. I know some of the US ones would actually have it painted, whereas these are stamped. On this side of the rifle, you can see the serial number. I believe this serial number was indicative of a 1942 production rifle. You can see my witness marks for my matches and whatnot that I shot with my 168 grain. I had, you know, my 200, 300, and 600 yard witness marks. I also went ahead and witness marked the rear sight. So if this ever rubs off, I can dial it back to what it was and be close enough at 100 or closer to go back to a hunting battle zero. On the front sight where I dabbed it a little bit with the paint pen as well. It doesn't do the greatest job, but it shows up a lot better than the black front sight post on the big black round targets on the KD range. So to top everything off, this rifle is amazing. It's gotten me through a lot of research. It's given me a lot of knowledge through reloading, firearms technology, and history to understand other to be able to understand other platforms better. A lot of competitions, a lot of hunts and whatnot, and this is one of the best purchases I've ever made. And happy 10-year anniversary to this thing. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you have a video suggestion, please put it in the comment section and I'll try to cover it. Thank you very much. Goodbye.